Bismillah wa salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Hello, everyone. Let's start our lecture today. Let's introduce myself first. My name is Mohammed Bekit. I am project manager working in Saudi Arabia. Have experienced more than 18 years experience in oil and gas industry. Majority of my experience in downstream section and onshore, offshore as well. I worked in many places worldwide. I worked in Europe, in Netherlands. I worked in Singapore. I worked in USA, Houston. I worked also in Malaysia and Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Actually, I am Egyptian and I am mechanical background, engineering. And now I am BMB certified, working as a project manager, managing the oil and gas project, as I told, for downstream sector, mainly for the Aramco client. If you are aware about Aramco, Saudi Aramco. Okay, let's start our course today. Our agenda for the course today will speak some definitions. Then we will speak about the oil and gas plants, and we will go through the details of the course and the program so that you will be able to gain the certificate at the end of the program, inshallah. So the definition, first, what is oil? Since we are now starting to understand the knowledge about the oil and gas, so what's mean by oil? Actually, oil is considered, if you consider as a crude oil is different than the refined oil. Crude oil is the one that explored or the people they extracted from the wells, and this is purely crude, and it's require a lot of manufacturing, a lot of processing, a lot of industry to refine. Refine means that you will take off water gases from this oil so that it will become refined product. It will be useful for what? For usage, like gasoline, benzene, diesel. But the one that is found in the ground is pure crude oil, mixture of carbon, like 84% of carbon, hydrogen, like 14%, and sulfur, 1 to 3%, and others material has mixed with this oil, crude oil, like nitrogen, oxygen, metals, and others. So actually, as I told, this crude oil is processed to remove the unwanted material. So we don't want this oil material. We don't want sulfur. We don't want gases. We don't want water in the oil. So the process itself and the oil and gas industry, most of the industry, start from the upstream, midstream, downstream, is to remove these unwanted materials from the oil, so that it will be able to be used, as I said, for the market. So where the oil has been found, or how can we know? So back to before the age of dinosaurs, this actually oil was formed from the animals and plants. You know, before our Earth, in our planet, there is dinosaurs and huge animals. They are living in the Earth, on the Earth. Now all of them are passed away, and all of them are finished. So nothing remains, but the body of these huge animals remains underneath the water, underneath the layers of earth. And if you imagine the high pressure from the earth and the layers of the earth on these bodies of the animals, cause what? Cause reactions, and this kind of reaction produce oil, and that's why the word petroleum means rock oil or oil. It is oil from earth. Oil from earth. But what is a scientific, as I said, that the scientific definition of oil and gas is called hydrocarbons. Because if somebody or someone is studied chemicals during our secondary school, during the school we study chemicals, and we know that the hydrocarbon like methane, propane, ethane, butane is a combination between hydrogen and carbon. So that's why it's called hydrocarbon. So hydrogen and carbon. So this is the atoms that is between hydrogen and carbon. They are connected together to have some different material like methane, propane, ethane, butane. And this is composition and this is kind of materials that's we call it hydrocarbon, and this is actually the oil and gas. This is the oil and gas. So the oil and gas, if no one knows what is oil and gas, you can consider natural gas like methane, you can consider butane, you can consider ethane. All of them is component of carbon and hydrogen atoms or moleculars. As I said, the oil and gas industry is divided into three sectors. So the whole oil and gas industry is divided into three sectors. We have upstream, midstream, downstream. Imagine that you are on the top of mountain, and there is a river. Flow of water is coming from the top of mountain and is going to what? To the bottom of mountain. So the top of mountain is called upstream. The down of the bottom of this mountain is called downstream. Stream here is the flow of water. So this is an example only, but we don't have water, we have oil and gas. That's why I need to give you this an example. Why what's mean by upstream? Upstream means the start of the flow. The flow start from upstream and end at downstream. So the flow direction from upstream ends to downstream. That's why they call the sector upstream or downstream or midstream even. So this is the definition, and we will go through in details what that means by upstream, downstream, and midstream. Actually, in general, this upstream, that's everything related to the drilling, well exploration, and all this exploration and production sector. This is called upstream. So this is the source of oil. So this is the source. So this is the flow direction will come from the source. This is why it is upstream. And this is very common definition. We have to understand it. We have to remember in the field of oil and gas. You will hear this upstream many times. If someone is working in the drilling company, he always mentions the upstream word because he's working in the upstream sector. The same for the whoever working in the product in the wellhead, for example, in the exploration is upstream sector. Okay, however, the midstream is the thing between upstream and downstream. And actually, the midstream is mainly for the pipeline and for the first processing of the oil after being explored. The oil after being explored will, as I said, it will contain a lot of gases, a lot of water, a lot of unwanted material. So there is some midstream process or processing to remove this unwanted material from the crude oil. That's why we call it midstream, but this is not enough. The downstream sector, this is the refinery. This is the important sector to refine this oil. Then you will produce refined product like gasoline, diesel, benzene, whatever. So the last section, which is downstream, is for refining, for manufacturing, for processing, for all huge plants, for all these columns and towers that you find in oil and gas plant. This is what you will be find in the downstream sector. So as I said, this picture shows the upstream sector here. This is the upstream sector. It contains, as I said, any wells or any exploration or any wellhead field. However, the other sectors will contain the others like midstream and downstream. So as I said, the midstream is involved the media between the transportation, mainly the pipeline, the start process to remove the unwanted material from what? From the crude oil. This is the midstream. And as I said, the downstream sector is a refined process, is a refinery, is all the manufacturing process and all other LNG plant and all other LPG plants and everything that's required to produce refined product like kerosene, jet fuel, diesel oil, and etc. So this is all the downstream sector. This is another photo to give you an indication of the midstream, upstream, downstream. So the upstream, as I said, is mainly for the exploration. You will find this for wellhead, and you will find mainly in onshore or offshore. We'll explain what's meant by onshore and offshore in the next slide. But the upstream mainly for the main source of the oil or gas. The midstream is mainly for transportation and for the first start processing of removing the unwanted material. Downstream is the refine. As you see here, the columns and the towers, and this is the process, the refine process. This is in downstream area. That is, you will find a lot of what? A lot of work there in the plant. You will maybe find some opening job to work on what? To work in a refinery. So this refinery, the purpose of this refinery is to produce refined product. As I said, like gasoline, which we use to operate our cars, like diesel as well for the heavy cars, trucks like this, and for kerosene that used for aeroplane, for the planes. So this is the sectors for what? This is all sectors in what? In where we can find this sector in downstream. In downstream, yes. So let's continue some definition. Okay, this is another picture shows you the difference between the upstream, midstream, and downstream. If you can see here, this is the upstream area. Crude from well, this is all come upstream. Upstream, as I said, is the start of the flow, the start of the stream. This is upstream. So whatever in the well, in exploration area, in the drilling platform, in the crude oil over tankers and these offshore units, those all in what? In upstream area, correct? And the downstream, whatever in between, like transportation, pump station in between, the start processing area to remove unwanted material. Then we will find the downstream is refinery. Refinery here and chemical plants. This is the downstream area, including the storage tank and transportation to the home, for example, or to transportation to oil and gas petrol or to oil and gas station, for example. Another definition we will study now, this is onshore. Onshore, what do you mean by onshore? Onshore is any plant exists on the earth, on the ground. It is not on the sea, it is on the ground, on the shore actually. So everything actually on the ground, on this earth, this is called onshore. So this onshore is all the plant operated out of the sea, like this area. However, the offshore is a definition expressing the hydrocarbon oil and gas plant or platform that exists on the sea. It is not on the shore, it is on the sea. That's why we call it offshore. It is not on the shore, it is offshore. It means it is on the sea or on oceans. This is really the very common expression in oil and gas. You will find some people saying, I'm working in onshore sector. Someone saying, I'm working in offshore sector. So you will understand if he working offshore, that means he's traveling by helicopter or whatever to go to the sea, to go to the platform that exists on the sea. It is not on the land. All right. So this is very important so we can understand what is the definition between onshore and offshore. This is another photos to explain you or to give you more expression about the offshore. This is offshore, any platform that exists on the sea. This is offshore. And like this also, this FPC, LNG tanker, this is offshore. All right, let's have some information about oil and gas plant. We have some oil and gas plant like hydrogen plant, like catalyst former. This actually all of them are downstream sector. If you found this plant, this means this is downstream sector. Downstream sector means that this sector is for refined product. Crude distillation unit, it is all downstream sector. Delayed coker, this is downstream sector mainly. Diesel hydrotreater, this is also in downstream sector. Fuel cracker, this is also the same hydrocracker. Kerosene hydrotreater, naphtha hydrotreater, and so on, and storage tanks. Storage tanks, definitely all of that is this photo, this is storage tanks, whatever is spherical or other types of tanks. It depends on the contain oil or gases, or depends on the pressure that it contains. All of the storage tanks, this is all downstream sector, downstream sector. Let's have also some definition about piping and pipeline. I am going fast. Okay, I will go slowly. No problem. What I mean by pipe, you know that this oil and gas sector is contain what oil or gas. So how can we carry this oil or gas through pipe? So this pipe is to carry the oil and gas to be inside this pipe. It will be like a pressurized tight cylinder. So as I said, used to convey the fluid or to transmit the fluid and to transmit it from area to area. It will go to specification, depend on the fluid pressure, temperature, and everything. But however, piping, there is piping, not pipe. Piping is contained of pipe and other fitting like these elbows, tees, and connections between pipe. To connect pipe to pipe, you need the connections. This connection is called fitting. This fitting with the pipe is called piping. And this piping, which is connected to a certain equipment like pump, compressor, heat exchanger, is considered a process piping. So as I said, there is piping component in the pipe itself. This piping component is a fitting or assembly to connect pipe to pipe. If you want to connect pipe to pipe, you have to have assembly to connect And these fittings and assembly is called piping component. Piping component, like, can you say, like flanges, gasket, this kind of component, like valve. This is valve. What's mean by valve? Is a device to close or to monitor the flow. Valve, right? To open or close the flow. If you want to open the flow, you will open the valve. If you want to close the flow, you will close the valve so the flow will not pass. This is a valve. On off. Another joint, as I said, like elbows, teeth. This is to connect the pipe together to have piping. And what is the purpose of this piping? Is to transfer the fluid from area to another area. This is another component. This is a gasket and flange. And this is other area of component, piping component. But the pipeline is another definition. So we have piping, and we have pipeline. The pipeline is merely to transfer the fluid by long distance. So this is pipeline. So the pipeline is to transfer the fluid in long distance. Long distance, yes. So how that means? That's between country to another country and from area to another area. Okay, I will go through the previous slide. So someone he want to ask. Okay, I will explain here what's meant by this piping component again. Piping component, as I said, it is a component that is connected together to assemble a piping arrangement. This called piping. And what is the component? This is component. This is called elbow. This is component of piping. This is called valve here. This is component of piping. This is called another valve. This is a component of piping. This is called pipe. This is small piece of tube connected between the valve and the T is called pipe. This is component. This is T connection is connected between the upper and the top pipe, and this vertical pipe is T connection is called component. So the assembly of this component, the fitting, the valve, the pipe, the elbow, all of this called piping. All of this called piping. The gasket, what is the role of gasket? Gasket actually is to seal the connection, the component. Here, if you want to connect flange to flange, what's mean by flange? All right, I will go to the different slide. Look to this picture, this is valve. And as I told you, the valve is to open or close the flow. So the flow will open from here. If the valve is open, the flow will pass from here and will exit from the other side if the valve is open. But how you connect this valve to the pipe? Through flange. And what is the shape of flange? This is the flange. And this is enough? No, you have to have a gasket. Gasket is a small piece, very thin, 3 millimeter thick. And this is only between the valve and the flange is to avoid any leakage or any sweeps. This is gasket is to avoid any leakage from this, assembly. So the assembly here is have these bolts and nuts. So if there is no gasket, there is a lot of leakage will happen. And if a leakage is happening in the oil and gas, it's very dangerous because this is hydrocarbons. This is oil and gas subject to what? To explosion. It will cause maybe a dangerous problem, fire or whatever. So the leakage should not be allowed. We should have a sealed gasket for sealing actually. Actually, this is more details, but no problem. If you ask any question, I can explain more details, but I will give you just now today lecture is very high knowledge definition. In the coming lecture, we will speak about all of this in details. We will not leave this definition. We will speak again and again in details. So as I said, the piping is assembly of pipe and the component like gasket, flanges, valves, elbows, tees. All of these are components. Pipe is a component. So all of this is called piping. But what is pipeline? This is another definition. Pipeline. If you hear the word pipeline, actually you will understand this is a very huge, long distance of pipe. It's not a pipe now, it is pipeline. It is carries the fluid from country to country by kilometers. This is long distance area, so it is pipeline. It can be above ground, like you can see in the photos now. This is all above ground pipeline. It can be also underground. Yes, there is pipeline underground as well. So it can be above ground or it can be underground. So again, the pipeline, which is carry the fluid and it is carry the stream for long distance between country to country, between plant to another plant, between city to another city. Kilometers of pipeline we call pipeline. We cannot call pipe. We cannot call piping, we call it pipeline. Another definition, this pipeline, how you can control it? Very high level definition now. I am not speaking in details now. This lecture is like introduction, just warming, okay? Don't be worried, I will explain everything in details in the coming lecture, but this lecture today is for warming up, to open your mind with some terminology and some definition of oil and gas. This pipeline, which is carry long distance, a lot of very heavy materials of crude and oil, how can they control it? Control what? Control the pressure, control the temperature, control the flow itself. The flow may be a normal flow, maybe overflow, maybe underflow. So the flow itself of the fluid of gases or oil or even refined product, this flow need to be controlled. The temperature of the flow need to be controlled, monitored. How can I control it? It is long distance through the desert or through an area between the countries. So they control it through SCADA. And this SCADA is actually a satellite program. They connected all of this, they put on the pipelines. So imagine this is a pipeline that is, I'm putting the cursor on the screen, and this is the valve. Imagine that this is pipeline. They put some devices of what? Of pressure transmitter, temperature transmitter, and the flow transmitter. What's mean by pressure transmitter? Devices here is to measure the pressure. To measure the pressure. Temperature, you know the temperature, right? Here, temperature transmitter is to device to measure the temperature. And flow here is a device to measure the flow inside the pipeline. It's called flow transmitter or flow element. These all devices will be connected through SCADA. And this RTU means remote terminal unit. Again, remote terminal unit, which is remote means remotely. It is not inside the plant, it's not inside the city, it is remotely outside. So the remote terminal unit, this will receive all the signals from this pressure and temperature and the flow transmitter. It will transfer it through SCADA satellite. Then this will be again transmitted or sent to the main control room where the people and the operator and the operation are sitting in the main control room to monitor the devices. Here, the person will sit here on computer. He will monitor everything on the pipeline. He will see this temperature is okay, or he will notice there is alarm. Oh, there is alarm here. Alarm. What is the alarm? Alarm of temperature. There is high temperature on the fluid. So he will make the precaution and the required action or mitigation action immediately. So this is for your advanced information, what's meant by this SCADA and main control room. Okay. Let's have another subject of definition, like this plant design process chain. Actually, in oil and gas, as I said, there is a start from design. If you work on downstream sector, for example, you want to design an oil and gas plant. And if you want to engineering sector working in a paper of drawings, you will start with the design. And the design here, the purpose of the design is to produce a drawing, and this drawing will be going to construction and fabrication to start construct the plant, to have a huge plant. So there is a chain between a plant design and the process of the plant. And this is actually chain start with some terminology we call process flow diagram, process flow diagram. Okay. This process flow diagram, this is one of the important documents which is available in every plant, in every operation. This process flow diagram is consist on everything inside the plant, every equipment, every device, every valve, every important equipment, every important device, every important valve inside the plant. This is called process flow diagram. And it will also explain the flow direction from this equipment from pump to another equipment, for example, for column. So this is flow direction. And they will explain this in flow diagram or process flow diagram as this picture. In the engineering company, when they start the design, only design, they are not started any construction, they will start with some program, they call 3D program, to have 3D modeling of the equipment as imagination before they start to construct. They design everything in the model. They have a lot of engineering, a lot of engineers from every department, from mechanical, from process, from electrical, from instrumentation, from telecommunication, from civil, from structure. All of this engineer department will work together to produce 3D model. And this 3D model will explain and will present how this plant will look like in the future, like this 3D model. Let me give you a picture of 3D model. Yeah, this is a 3D model. This 3D model actually is explaining how the design work in the design company, in oil and gas sector. This is actually give the opportunity to do any modification in the plant before they start to construct it. So this is only a model. It is not constructed. It is only a design. It is not an operation. So this is not an existing plant. This is only a new plant. They need to start to develop a new plant. So they will start with the first stage, which is design, scratch from zero. So they have a very green area, empty area. There is nothing there, very empty area. Then they will start to design. They will put the equipment with certain places. They will put here the columns with certain distance between the other equipment. This is exchanger and this is vessels. This is air cooler. They have this huge structure. They carry, it's called pipe rack. It carries a pipe or piping. Yes, piping. This is the right terminology, piping. It carries a piping of these process equipment. They do everything here in 3D model. They participate, every department, they participate with other departments. They have interface discussion, coordination in the design offices so that they will produce the best design that is will be in the future a real plant. So they imagine how this plant will be. They will imagine the maintenance requirement, the operation requirement. For this equipment, there is a lot of maintenance required. They will imagine the space required for every equipment before they put in real condition. Okay, so this is very important. If someone of you is interested to work in engineering company, he will find this 3D model everywhere, everywhere. This is also another photos of the 3D model. This is also another drawing of the some isometrics code that is extracted from the 3D model to start what? To start fabrication and construction. So the 3D model actually, it also helps for construction, for fabrication, to start the real construction. It will extract a drawing like this, and this drawing will give you to the fabricator. He will fabricate the pipe, and then he will give you to the contractor to start to construct this pipe in the real condition. It will be a real. So far today, I give you a very brief introduction about the oil and gas. Let's speak about the course itself. The first lecture of the course, which is today, it is like very general information about the course, which we finish. Second lecture, which we will explain next time, it will be about the facilities and the process. We'll speak about exploration, production. We'll go through onshore, offshore terminology. We'll speak about upstream process sections. We'll speak, if you go to upstream, you will speak about wellheads and manifold, separation, utility system. This all in the second lecture. Lecture number 3, we will continue about the facility and the process. Then we will speak about midstream. We finish upstream in second lecture. Then we will speak about midstream. After that, we speak about downstream, which is refinery and petrochemical. So the refinery and petrochemical, this is the downstream. Lecture number 4, we'll speak about reservoir and wellhead. This is in upstream field. There is some called reservoir and wellheads. So we'll speak about the crude oil and natural gas in details. What is the crude oil? What is the natural gas? What is the condensate? We'll speak about the reservoir and the exploration and drilling. Okay. In lecture 5, we'll speak about also the upstream field. We'll speak about the well casing, completion, wellhead, the artificial lift, and so on. In lecture 6, we'll speak about the upstream oil and gas process itself. So the process itself, we'll speak about the manifold, the gathering, the separation. And the lecture number 7, we'll speak about the gas treatment and compression. So there is a gas treatment, as I told, this is midstream. After upstream, there is gas treatment. We'll speak about it, and we'll speak about some equipment in the gas treatment. What is the heat exchanger? What is the scrubbers? What is the repellers? What is the compressors? All right. Then we'll continue speaking about the upstream. We'll speak about the oil and gas storage. There is a storage in oil and gas, the metering and export, and we'll speak on details about it. Then we'll go to the midstream sector. We'll speak about gathering, gas plant, gas processing. Then midstream also will speak about pipeline and LNG. LNG is liquefied natural gas. Then the other lecture, following lecture, lecture number 11, this is the refinery or the downstream sector. So we start with upstream, midstream, then downstream. Downstream is refinery. As I said, there's a lot of refinery plants like fractionation distillation, refinery product, oil and gas plants, a lot of LNG plants, LPG plants. So they will speak about this refinery. Then we'll speak about petrochemical in the following lecture. So we have refinery and petrochemical. Actually, the major difference between refinery and petrochemical, that is, refinery is mainly for the oil and gas product, refined product like gasoline or diesel or kerosene. However, petrochemical is for the other chemical product like plastic and the polyester and this kind of other product that is mainly uh, combined by chemical. Then the full lecture or last lecture, it will be the utility system. And this is common for all, for upstream and downstream and midstream. It is common. The utility system, like process control system, how to control this plant, like digital oil field, like power generation, like flare, atmosphere, this is all utility, like instrument air, this is all utility, like HVAC, it is also utility. It is also required, this utility system, for every sector, upstream or midstream or downstream. Also for utility system like water, chemical, and telecom. These all are utility system. Then we'll speak about the unconventional and conventional resources and environmental effects. If we have time, we can speak about this one. If not, will be advanced course. It will not relate to introduction, but I will keep it. If we have a chance, we have time, we'll speak about the unconventional sources of oil and gas and the conventional sources. So by this, we will finish our program of the course, and I hope it will be very beneficial course for all of you. Today's lecture is not big, not long. It is like introduction about myself, introduction about the course, introduction about oil and gas. So introduction about yourself as well. So I will come to know you, all of you as well. So from the next lecture, next session, it will be studied lecture, will be more details, inshallah. So I will open the mic for all of you now. So please, if you want to speak, please open the mic. Raise your hand if you want, or open the mic and speak, and I can listen to you. So now it is your turn. If you want to ask any question, I am ready to answer. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Ford. Can you unmute yourself and speak?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just to thank you in my own name of my institute and all these people who are attending this session, because we know that it's very, very late in your country.
Yeah.
That you have a long day of work and
no problem.
after all of that you are here to give this lecture. So I would like to thank you for all of this. Maybe also just to, I don't know how we will organize it the next lectures. Maybe okay, maybe to introduce some kind of interactivity to ask people what they know about the concept you are talking about, if they know, if they don't know. In order we try to have something, this is some exchange, you know. Okay, this is what I would like to talk, and once again to tell you, thank you for the lecture.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Thanks so much for your comment, and thanks. I really appreciate your appreciation as well. You are so welcome, and I really also happy to have interactive course. I really that I really
Yeah.
like this,
Mhm.
and this you can help me by so I will from next lecture I will try to open the mic, but please,
Yeah.
I am speaking to all participants. Please control the mic. يعني I will leave it open. I will make the trials, but control it means that don't leave it open so it will be a lot of noisy, a lot of things
Yeah.
disturbs the lecture. This is what I see today. Before I start, I see everyone open the mics and a lot of disturbance. You cannot hear me. So sorry for that. I'm very sorry to control by this way. I don't want to close the mouse. No, I want everyone to speak and to ask really. But in the same time, I want you to listen to me or to have a concentrated lecture so that you will understand what I say. So I'm opening the chat room. You can text me anytime during the lecture. I will be very ready to answer your question during the lecture. As someone asked me what mean by RTU, so I replied instantly. I said this is a remote terminal unit like this. You ask me go explain to the previous slide, so I go and explain. But we can do a trial to open the mic. It's okay for me, but the people, the participants, you have to control it. They have to close the mic themselves and open if they want. No problem.
No, we can first use the chat, the chat
We can
box
use the chat, yes.
for that.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
I
we
use that.
can just ask your question in the chat box, and if necessary, if someone wants to speak, so he asks for you to open the mic, and then he speaks. But for the interactivity, we can use the chat box,
Okay,
the
I agree.
chat room.
I agree. You can use that chat room. And I will also open the mic at the end of the lecture. This is, I cannot close,
Okay.
like now we finish, everyone he can speak now. So
Yeah.
if any question in your mind, but the chat will not help you to explain, please write it down, put it in your mind, and after we finish the lecture, ask me, open the mic and ask me.
Okay.
Free to ask, please don't be shy. Please, I'm speaking about the participant now.
People here, they are not
I
used
want to
to
hear actually.
have interactive lessons, and I see it in all the classes. So I think you have to push these guys to speak, to exchange a little more.
So let's start with Mr. Abdul Qadir. Tell me, Abdul Qadir, about yourself. Have you understand my lecture today? Do you have any comment? Do you have any questions? How so far you understand my lecture today?
Hello, so thanks again for the presentation.
Yes, Abdul Qadir.
So as I told last time, I had a master's degree in trading and
Wow, mashallah. Good.
yeah. So I know a little about the industry of oil and gas,
Perfect.
especially in Senegal, because at the same time I'm a tax controller for the Senegalese administration in the oil and gas industry and
Okay.
mining too. So I used to exchange with companies in the sector like BP, Woodside, something like this.
Wow. Good.
So
Very good.
yeah, the presentation is perfect. I think it can allow to everybody to know to see what the oil and gas industry, what does it look like, and to have a good perception of what people are doing in Senegal.
Very good. I'm very happy about your comment, and I'm very happy about actually your level of experience that you have, Abdul Qadir. Hopefully, for the next lecture, you will also present with me something from your knowledge, okay? So that we can share.
Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. Thank you, Abdul.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Really, welcome. Okay, Mr. Amadou Diallo.
Yes, hi everyone.
Hi, Mr. Ahmad, how are you?
Mr. Beckett. I
Yeah.
don't know if I pronounce well your name.
Yes, correct. Yeah, actually, it's Bechit, but Bechit is yeah, it is not really easy to say Bechit.
Okay.
You can say Bechit or Bechit, no issues, no problem.
Okay. Just to want to thank you.
So welcome.
And I found the program very interesting, and I am a custom officer, and currently I work in the Dakar Petrol office.
Okay, great.
So very interesting, and I hope at the end of the course we will be very able to do our job better.
Yeah.
So, but I found the follow little fast, little high.
Fast. Okay.
Yes, and some pictures were not clear. I don't know if
Let me know.
maybe
Please, now. I will explain now. Tell me.
yes.
No, don't leave the session before you don't understand it. Let me know which area it is not clear, and I will explain now, right away. Like this area, for example, or this area, or here, or everything is not clear. Really, I am ready to explain again. I am very supportive. I can explain one more time. Yeah, I can repeat the lecture again. No problem with me.
Yeah, just to tell everybody that they should not hesitate. If they don't understand a picture or slide, they can use the chat room to ask to Mr. Behit to explain again.
Yes, sure. No problem, dear brother and sisters. I will try to use the record, and in case you miss something, you will return back to the record. Also, please, as Mr. Fall, he said that please stop me. You can write in the chat room if something is not clear. Please write in the chat room immediately. Tell me, please explain more. Please give me more examples like this. You can stop me anytime, and I am very happy to give you more details and more explanation about the topic. Thank you, Mr. Amado, for your comment. It is well noticed. I will take care next time. I will try to speak slowly. I know there is some maybe difference in the language. You speak Francais, I think, in Senegal, right? I speak
Yeah.
I speak Arabic and English. So I know that you may understand my English, but if I speak very fast, please let me know also. Stop me, tell me to speak loud, slowly like this. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
So any other question, any other comment so far from the participant?
Okay.
Everyone is okay? No more comments, no further questions? Ask individual. I just pick a name of Abdul Qadir, but it is not a normal to ask you what you want, but you instead you can start. You can start to say whatever you want to ask about anything. If you don't have any comment or any question, so we can conclude our lecture today, and we can continue speaking in through WhatsApp or during the next lecture, inshallah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Full. Thank you, team. Thank you, participant. See you next time. Have a good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salam.